The United States has the best geography on Earth, and the consequences reverberate across the globe. Beneath ordinary farmland lies an empire built on black mollisol soil and rivers that haul a ton of corn 600 miles on a single gallon of fuel. No other major nation combines a breadbasket this vast, with a latticework of waterways and coastlines that reach both the Atlantic and Pacific, shielded by oceans and mountains. It's no accident that America leads the world in food, energy, and security. But how did this land end up with every natural advantage, and what really set the stage for American power? The answer starts where the land itself forges wealth. Stretching from Ohio to Nebraska and down through Missouri, the American Midwest forms the largest contiguous patch of fertile soil anywhere on Earth. The secret lies underground. Here, beneath the endless fields, lies a thick layer of black earth called mollisol, soil so rich in organic matter that it ranks among the most productive on the planet. In places like central Illinois and Iowa, this layer can run more than a meter deep, holding moisture through dry spells and storing nutrients for months on end. Blanketing much of this region is loess, a fine, wind-blown silt left behind by the last ice age, creating soils that are both easy to work and perfectly drained for modern machinery. This combination of deep mollisols and loess means that year after year, the Midwest produces more corn and soybeans than any other region in the world. In a typical season, Illinois and Iowa alone average over 200 bushels of corn per acre, with soybeans close behind. The numbers are staggering. Nearly 1/3 of the world's corn and soybeans are harvested from these plains, and in bumper years, the U.S. exports up to 40% of global corn and 35% of soybeans. That's enough to feed hundreds of millions of people, supply livestock from Asia to Africa, and keep global food prices in check. The climate only sharpens this advantage. Warm, humid summers and long daylight hours supercharge photosynthesis, while reliable rainfall keeps crops growing without the need for large-scale irrigation. Even the flatness of the land, shaped by ancient glaciers, matters. Here, tractors and combines can work fields hundreds of acres wide without the obstacles found in Europe or Asia. This scale makes mechanization efficient and drives yields ever higher. Since 1950, corn yields in top counties have more than quadrupled, thanks to advances in hybrid seeds, fertilizers, and precision farming. Every autumn, fleets of harvesters sweep across fields in a synchronized ballet, funneling grain into towering elevators and onto rail cars or barges bound for the world. Commodity prices are set in cities like Chicago, where the scale of Midwest harvests can move global markets overnight. When drought or war disrupts grain flows elsewhere, the Midwest becomes the world's safety net, able to ramp up exports and stabilize supplies. The foundation of this agricultural power is not just the soil or the climate, but the sheer scale and continuity of the land. Unlike the fragmented fields of France or the hilly paddies of China, the American Midwest offers a blank canvas, thousands of square miles of uninterrupted farmland, perfectly suited for the machinery and logistics of modern agriculture. This is how the land itself became wealth, and how America's breadbasket continues to feed the planet. A single river system binds the American interior, stretching from the Great Plains to the Gulf of Mexico. The Mississippi and its tributaries create the largest navigable water network on Earth, draining over 1.2 million square miles, more than half the lower 48. This waterway isn't just vast. It's a living artery, moving grain from Minnesota past St. Louis and Memphis, all the way to New Orleans and out to sea, without ever needing to switch vessels. For centuries, these rivers have quietly powered the nation's internal trade. Barges make this possible. One barge can carry a ton of cargo nearly 650 miles on a single gallon of fuel. 3 times farther than rail, over 4 times farther than truck. Shipping bulk goods like corn, soybeans, or coal by river often costs just a penny or two per ton-mile, compared to up to 15 cents by truck. This difference isn't trivial. It's the margin that keeps entire regions afloat. Each fall, as harvests come in, barges line up at river terminals, ready to move millions of tons of grain south at a fraction of the cost seen elsewhere. But seamless movement wasn't always guaranteed. In the early 1800s, river navigation was fraught with obstacles, sandbars, snags, and state-imposed tolls that slowed commerce to a crawl. Enter Henry Shreve, an Army engineer with a stubborn streak. Shreve designed shallow-draft steamboats, invented the snag boat to clear deadwood, and challenged monopolies that tried to lock up river traffic. His fight, including a landmark Supreme Court case, secured the federal government's right to keep interstate rivers open and toll-free. By the 1820s, steamboats crowded the Mississippi and Missouri, turning river towns into thriving trade centers. Then, in 1825, the Erie Canal opened, linking the Hudson River to the Great Lakes. Suddenly, wheat and timber from the Midwest could reach New York City at a tenth of the old cost, bypassing the Appalachian Barrier. The canal's success triggered a wave of investment in locks, dredging, and levees, ensuring the river system remained the backbone of American commerce. Today, over 500 million tons of cargo move through these waterways each year, connecting farms, factories, and ports in a seamless flow shaped by geography and ingenuity. From the tip of Maine to the beaches of California, the United States stretches between two of the world's most important oceans. This double coastline is more than just a scenic boundary. It's the backbone of America's global reach. On the Atlantic, ports like New York, Savannah, and Charleston connect American factories and farms directly to Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. On the Pacific, Los Angeles and Seattle serve as gateways to booming Asian markets. Few countries can load a container in the interior and send it by rail or barge to either coast, then out to nearly any port on Earth without crossing a hostile border. The geography behind this advantage is hard to overstate. With over 12,000 miles of coastline and dozens of deep-water harbors, the U.S. can host some of the largest cargo ships afloat. The 2016 expansion of the Panama Canal changed the game again, allowing so-called new Panamax vessels, some carrying over 13,000 containers, to pass between the Pacific and Atlantic. Suddenly, Gulf and East Coast ports faced a race to dredge deeper channels, reinforce piers, and install cranes tall enough to reach across these floating giants. By 2022, ports like Houston, Savannah, and New York had all completed 50-foot channel deepening, letting them compete for the biggest ships and the fastest-growing trade lanes. This bicoastal access means American goods can reach global markets with remarkable efficiency, while imports from Asia or Europe can be distributed across the continent in days. Unlike nations hemmed in by mountains, deserts, or rival powers, the United States can shift its exports and imports between oceans, sidestepping choke points and global disruptions. In a world where shipping routes and supply chains are in constant flux, geography gives America a built-in advantage, one that's only grown stronger with every port expansion and canal upgrade. A continent-sized nation surrounded by water on two sides, the United States enjoys a kind of insulation rare among world powers. The Atlantic and Pacific Oceans stretch thousands of miles in either direction, forming natural moats that have shielded the mainland from invasion for over 2 centuries. To the north, the frozen reaches of the Canadian Shield and the Great Lakes create a buffer wider than many entire countries. In the south, the deserts of northern Mexico and the Rio Grande present a formidable barrier of their own. But the story doesn't end at the water's edge or the borderlands. Running like a backbone through the west, the Rocky Mountains rise up to 14,000 feet. forming a wall that once slowed armies and still complicates any overland approach. The Appalachians in the east, though older and worn, once defined the edge of colonial settlement and remain a rugged shield to this day. Behind these layers of protection lies a treasure trove of resources. Beneath Texas and North Dakota, oil fields pump out nearly 18 million barrels per day, making the U.S. the world's top energy producer. Vast seams of coal run through Wyoming's Powder River Basin, accounting for nearly a quarter of the planet's reserves. Natural gas fields stretch from Pennsylvania's Marcellus Shale to the Permian Basin in the southwest, fueling homes and industry with over 35 trillion cubic feet of production each year. In Alaska, the Trans-Alaska Pipeline snakes 800 miles from Prudhoe Bay to Valdez, a feat of engineering completed in 1977, designed to move millions of barrels of crude through mountains, permafrost, and earthquake zones. This abundance of energy, oil, gas, coal, means the U.S. can power its economy, supply allies, and weather global shocks without relying on distant suppliers or risky sea lanes. In a world where geography so often dictates destiny, America's combination of natural shields and energy wealth offers a kind of security and freedom of action that few other nations can match. 1/3 of the world's corn and soybeans are grown in the United States, a fact rooted in the nation's vast mollisol soils and the 1.2 million square mile Mississippi-Missouri River system. Archival records confirm that since the Erie Canal opened in 1825, these waterways have connected the Midwest's agricultural bounty to global markets with unmatched efficiency. The United States' dual ocean coastlines, secured by mountain ranges and expanded by projects like the 2016 Panama Canal widening, have further enhanced trade and defense. Meanwhile, abundant reserves of oil, gas, and coal have fueled decades of industrial growth. While some details about energy reserves and strategic planning remain classified, the documented evidence is clear. America's geography, its fertile land, navigable rivers, natural barriers, and energy resources created the foundation for superpower status. These facts continue to shape the nation's economic strength and security today.